Has anybody ever in their career been sitting there at work saying, how am I going to make payroll? Put up your hand if you've ever been in a situation, how am I going to make payroll? Okay, it's some of you been there. He said a banker gives you an umbrella on a sunny day and takes it away when it rains. That's what bankers do. They give you an umbrella on a sunny day and take it away when it rains. Now, I was in a seminar and the gentleman was a banker and he had to put up his hand. Excuse me, you folks don't plan for the rainy day. So let's put ourselves in a specific situation. Let's suppose we have 4 million of trade AP overdue. And we have 2.5 million in the bank available to pay these payables. So we cannot pay everybody. What are we going to do? Who are we going to pay first? I'm now going to give you 5 or 6 goofy ways you can delay your payments. But I don't ever use these. This is humor. So what do you do with the soft receipts in the cash flow forecast? Soft receipts, receipts that aren't so certain. Let me give you an example. So on the 15th of the month, the payroll is going out. On the 30th of the month, the payroll is going out. That's a given. And there's some miscellaneous small receivables hopefully collected in the second half of the month. There's 3 critical payments that need to be made hopefully in the second half of the month. And our big customer is supposed to pay us in the second half of the month, we think, we hope. So where do you put that payment in the cash flow? Optimistic, put it in the 15th. Pessimistic, put it in the 30th. Put it in the middle. Put it in at 50%. What do you do? Because you can't afford to be wrong. Not all of you are in a crisis today. This is a tip that I got from a COO of a company. So this company did not have a cash flow crisis, but we did a rolling weekly cash flow forecast. I think it was a 6-month weekly cash flow forecast, and it rolled. And one day this COO says to me, he is an engineer, he says, statistically, how accurate is this? Statistically, how accurate does it predict the cash 3 months out? Statistically, how accurate does it predict the cash 6 months out? And you know what my answer was? I don't know. I've never checked. So he gave me the valid question of, do you actually know how accurate your cash flow forecast is? So I'm going to ask everybody in this room, who statistically analyzes how accurate your cash flow forecast is? Okay. Maybe one, right? So it's a rare thing to do, but it's a good tip. It's a good tip. So I developed something like this. Something like this. And you can, once you start doing this, which is a lot of manual work, you have to step outside the system and do it in Excel. There's a lot of extra work, but you can see the trends. We're always a bit low on collections, and we're a bit low on cash first 3 months, and then we're stronger 6 months. So once you build some trends like that, you can do better cash flow forecasting. Some CEOs want to spend their way out of a crisis. Okay, now I'm not talking about politicians. You mustn't confuse this. I'm talking about CEOs who want to spend their way out of a crisis. Another tip. I was in a management meeting of a company one day, and we're going through a cash flow crisis, and I suddenly got this innovative tip. I will become a salesperson. Instead of Steve, the mean guy, cutting everybody's salaries, cutting expenses, I will start becoming a salesperson part-time. I will drive new revenue for the company. And they really liked that idea. Instead of me just cutting, I was actually trying to bring more cash in. When you call one of these consultants in, let me give you a few tips on how to deal with them. First, you want to squeeze the area first. You want to gather all the low-hanging fruit. So you're pretty sure you can't squeeze anything more out of that area. I'll give you a few overall thoughts on this. First of all, you learn during a cash flow crisis there's more fat than you realize. There's more fat than you realize. So you have 6 clerks in a department, you cut 4, you cut 2, and you find everything works fine. There was fat in the organization. So this cash flow crisis will identify fat. Now let me be clear, this is not fat in finance, this is the other departments. We decided to hire a new CFO, we had an interim. And we hired a guy, he said, I'll start after Labor Day weekend. So we came into the office, and I said, listen, I need to talk to you privately. I'm the controller. I shut the door. And I started explaining to him the situation on the Titanic. We had already hit the iceberg. And he said, thank you. And he quit that day. So he lasted 1 day as a public company CFO. And then finally, a personal tip. Is this a temporary or permanent problem? Is the business riding a dead horse? If the business is riding a dead horse, you need to get your resume out. Find a new job. We've talked about getting through a cash flow crisis. Is there any tips you would like to add on this topic of cutting costs and getting financing to get through a cash flow crisis? Does anyone have any tips? Yes, sir.
Just as far as